Hello, welcome to Wofford, welcome to Calculus for Social Sciences and Math 160. This is the spring 2021 semester and you're either in section A or section B. My name is Dale Saylor and I'm going to introduce you to a few of the things having to do with our calculus class as well as myself. As I said, my name is Dale Saylor. If you look at the actual listing, it might say Owen because Owen is my first name. I don't use that normally. Even abnormally, I don't use it. My office will be in 204 in the Owen building. 204D, that is. D as in Dale. That's the way I'll remember. I haven't been there yet. The campus has been closed, so you might see it before I see it. I live in Spartanburg, South Carolina. I have a local phone number, 864-398-6596. You're welcome to call me anytime for help. One suggestion I might make, though, is that you not bother with texting. I am not a big text person, and one of the main reasons is that with texting I don't have too many options when I want to answer a question. So I would suggest calling. Better yet, I've got 2 emails that you can pick from. My official Wofford email is sailorod@wofford.edu, of course. It also is sailormath@outlook.com. Now the reason I have 2 is because the Sailor Math one goes to my phone, goes to my computer. I see it much more often than I will with the Wofford one that I actually have to log in to access. So there you go. Next, the textbook is Calculus and it's written by Ron Larson. He's an instructor, probably a professor at Penn State University, that's in Pennsylvania. This is a book that I've used in the past, starting in 2009. At that point, USC Upstate was where I was, and we're using version 8. This one's the 10th edition, and this is the one we'll be using. In Moodle, which is a good place to go, you can find the syllabus. I'm going to put that there. And there will also be assignments on the syllabus, and a lot of other things. I'm going to include in Moodle folders that contain all the lessons. They're by chapters, so you can look inside each chapter and find the various PowerPoints and other things that I might put there, anything to help you. If you find there's something you'd like and you don't see it there, just ask me. I'll see if I can get it there. Next, as you might expect, there's an assignment with every section that we cover in class. We never cover a class session without some section being addressed, and you're expected to complete the assignment that's associated with it. You can check that in the syllabus. Bring it to my office by the next class session. Bring it to my office in Olin, 204D as in Dale. I'll collect this as a homework grade, and I'm expecting you to also make a list of any questions you have from that section, and either bring them to class or email them to me and I'll get the answer back to you. If it requires a video answer, I'll make a video, whatever it takes. You're responsible for any material we cover in class, even if you're not present. Don't email me and ask you, what did we cover in last class's meeting? You're supposed to be there, so you have to be either there or find out from one of your classmates what was covered and catch up. If you're not there, I'll count you present. You don't want to fail because you're not attending. Basically, not attending is going to be a hardship for you in trying to pass, so you need to be there. Next, if you have a condition or situation that requires special accessibility, check with accessibility services at Wofford. Even before that, you can check with me, and if you need a special accommodation of some sort, check with me, and I might be able to help you even without your going to accessibility services. Just a little bit on classroom behavior. Most of it's common sense. Be on time, get a seat, be ready to take notes, not chatting with your neighbor. Stay in class until the class is over. Stay alert during the class. Don't fall asleep. Turn off your cell phones, beepers if you've got them. I haven't seen beepers for a while, but if you've got one, turn it off. Try not to talk with your peers unless absolutely necessary while the instructor or some of the other students are talking. Use good manners, be courteous, etc. Ask questions at any time. Try not to interrupt, but we'll take that as it comes. The work is expected on the date it's due. I've tried to make the due dates as close as possible to where they would actually be due. Do those neatly, do them in pencil. When we cover a section, let's talk about section 2-4 maybe. So we covered section 2-4 in class. The homework for that one will be due the next time the class meets. That's when you should bring it with you, bring your questions, ask your questions on your way out, or sometime during that day, drop off your homework at my office. I'll give you credit. While we're talking about the homework, a quick note, I am not grading it. The answers are in the back of the book. You need to show your work. And what I'll be looking for is, are you doing the work? It's not how correct you are, because you might have some questions before you come to class. As long as you do it, you get 100%. If you don't do it, well, let's not think about that. Last of all on this page, remember, we are a team. I'm working with you so you can be successful. Just a note, very infrequently, something happens in class that makes it difficult for you to learn. Let me know immediately, and I'll make the appropriate corrections. I had a student that I knew was coming to a class once. Actually, it was an unusual situation. I was teaching for Southern Wesleyan, and before my class even met, I had heard about a certain student. I knew she was a big talker. I hadn't even seen her, but the first day of class, I knew she had red hair. So when she walked in the classroom, I said to her, "Oh, by the way," and sort of told her that I was going to be looking for her to be quiet when she wasn't needing to be talking. Everything worked out fine. If you need another arrangement, other than email or cell phone, or stopping in the office, just let me know. It's always possible to meet at a library or even over at USC Upstate if they allow me to continue my office over there. Every once in a while, I might have an announcement, and that might be posted on Moodle, or it might be emailed to you. So check Moodle and your email at least daily. Now, one of the reasons you might make sure you do that is because suppose on a Thursday night I see something really helpful for a calculus student. Maybe it's a YouTube video, and I want to get the information to you as soon as possible. Maybe there's a test the coming Monday, so I might send you a link, or I might send you a tip of some kind. And I want you to get that as soon as possible. If you're not checking Moodle in your email daily, you might miss it. Also, it's possible that I might see some kind of an assignment, and I'll think, my students ought to be doing this. This is going to help them learn calculus. So I'll send it to you and say, oh, by the way, 2 days from now, I expect you to bring this as homework to class, for credit, of course. So check those announcements, check your email daily. Okay, let's get started. The first thing you need to do is something that for most of you will be pretty easy. You write a paragraph about yourself. I'm expecting at least 4 to 5 sentences. You can make it as long as you like. Bring your typed copy to my office. I'm going to collect them in a stack so I can read them offline. But I also want you to send a copy, a Microsoft Word copy that is, to sailormath@outlook.com. The reason I want to do that is because if I don't happen to see you in my office when you drop it off, as I'm reading it, perhaps there's something I notice in it that we have in common, or a question that I have. It's easy to just say reply and ask you a few questions. Oh, there is another option too. If you want to be a little bit extra industrious, you might, instead of typing the copy, well, actually I want the copy anyway, but if you would like to make a video of your introduction to yourself, that's welcome too. Last semester I had about 3 different people out of 160 making videos introducing themselves. Rachel, for example, won't tell you her last name, but she sent a very nice introductory video. I challenge you to try that. Second assignment, review sections 1.1 and 1.2 in your textbook. Complete the exercise for those sections, and you'll find those exercises in the course documents, in the syllabus. The assignments are always due the next day of class after we cover that material. So if on a Wednesday we cover a material from section 2-3, Wednesday is when the homework will be due. Here's a little bit of a picture here of what the exam schedule is supposed to be for the spring of 2021 at Wofford. This is not an official one. The official one is on the Wofford website, of course. So this is a guideline, or a starting point, whatever you want to call it. If it turns out to be perfect, fantastic. If it's not, well, it's not my responsibility to tell you. I'm just doing this for your benefit. And this whole slide will be in Moodle in the introductory part. So, that said, I think there's one thing I forgot before we actually get to the calculus. Now, a few slides back I said, how about sending me an introduction? Well, that's all fair, but maybe I should do the same thing for you. So, pause the video, get some Mountain Dew or some coffee, and I'll tell you a little bit about myself. You might need the coffee to stay awake because it might be boring. I'm not an exciting person. So, I was born in Western Pennsylvania, grew up there. At the age of 18 plus change, I went to Clarion State College. It's now called Clarion University. It's in Northwest Pennsylvania. After 4 years, I had my bachelor's degree for teaching mathematics and physics. Physics was my minor. And at the end of my bachelor's degree, they were starting a master's program. And I signed up, got in. I was one of the first 3 to be in the master's program ever. The others were Melanie and Charanjeet from India. At the end of that, I finally got a real job at Newport News, Virginia. I was a science teacher, so I didn't start off in mathematics exactly, unless you call physics mathematics. So I was a physics teacher, And to my surprise, when I got my contract, I saw that I was teaching 4 classes of physics, and that's good. A regular physics class and 3 intro to physics classes for 9th graders. Fine. But the 5th one was a little bit of a surprise. It was earth science. I didn't even know what earth science was, so this was a little bit of a surprise to me. But I figured, okay, this for 8th graders, I can stay ahead of them. That's kind of okay. Second semester, I got a much bigger surprise though. Everything seemed to be the same except for those intro to physics classes that were a lot of fun. 9th graders are fun if you ever get into teaching. However, those weren't intro to physics anymore. They had turned into intro to chemistry. I had no college chemistry. My chemistry was limited to what I took in high school. Now, I did get an A in that, so I remembered quite a bit about it. It took a bit of work. Let's just say that I went to the administration and said, oops, I think we made a mistake here. And they basically said, this is your schedule. Do it. So I did it. Now, we didn't have any labs because I wouldn't have been comfortable doing labs with chemistry, but we got through it. So 3 years, in fact, the next 2 years, I taught nothing but math. After the 3rd year, my wife and I moved to Fredericksburg, Virginia, where I became the math and physics teacher. An interesting thing about that situation was that I taught 4 classes of math, 1 class of physics, and the first year I had 11 physics students. A nice small class, real nice. I can still remember some of their names and their faces. What was interesting was the second year I taught there, basically the same schedule, and I had 9 students. Not quite as many as the year before, but pretty close. Well, what I did after the first year was I changed the requirements to get into the physics. I changed them so that all you needed was algebra and geometry. You didn't need to have the higher math. Well, in the 3rd year, I went from 11 students to 9 students to, and you can insert a drum roll here, 42 students in the 3rd year. The 4th year, about the same. Lots of students. Now I'll speed this up a little bit. After the 5th year, I requested that I be switched to all math, and they were able to manage that. So the 6th year I taught all math, but some strange things happened that year, and I decided I was going to change careers. No more teaching. I was done with it. And I looked around, saw what I might be interested in, and managed to find a place where I'd be a trainee as a computer programmer. Hey, that sounds pretty neat. And actually I ended up doing computer programming for over 20 years. I programmed mostly on Navy contracts, cruisers and destroyers, missile fire control systems, gunfire control systems. I also spent 2 years at Quantico, Virginia with the Marines, not as a Marine, but in support. After 22 years, it was the year 2000, and I found someone special who lived in Spartanburg, South Carolina. You know where that is. Well, to make a long story short, 2 years later, this lady and myself were married. By the way, yes, I got divorced before I got married. And the bad part is that right after I moved down with a programming job, they dropped me as a programmer. In desperation, I became a teacher again. And one night, as I was teaching one of these desperation classes, one of the students said, "You really like teaching math, don't you?" Well, it sort of made me angry because I'd left teaching behind. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized he was right. That was the year 2001, and this is the year 2021 as you listen to this, most likely. And I'm still at it, and I love it. I didn't know how much I'd missed it while I was gone. So that brings me to Spartanburg Community College, USC Upstate, where I teach quite often. I've taught at Limestone, I've taught at Southern Wesleyan University, and a couple of others I won't bore you with, as well as Wofford. And I'm back. So I hope you enjoy this semester. We're going to try to have some fun, work hard, I'll work hard, and you'll get an A at the end, I hope. Bye-bye.